picture where
Okay, so looking at this is my parent function. Now we've got to start moving it. Notice the parent function's in every single one of these. I got 2 to the x. Well, that's that. Minus 4. Is that minus 4 an inside or outsider?
outside.
If it is an outsider, does it impact the x's or the y's?
The y.
The y's. If it's going to impact the y's,
Kick
if it's
him.
going to impact the y's, how is it going to impact the y's? It says minus 4, so what should I do with my 4?
Translate down 4.
It's going to go down 4 because you're going to take all your y values and subtract 4. So I'm going to go to this point right here, 0, 1. If I did 1 minus 4, I'd get negative 3. Or I can just count down. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you can do that with every single point. This one's a y value of 2. Minus 4 would give me negative 2. Y value of 4 minus 4 gives you 0. Y value of 8 minus 4 gives you 4. Last one you got 1/2. Minus 4 gives you 3.5. Or, of course, you could just count down 4 spaces. Is my horizontal asymptote going to move?
Yes.
Where's it going to move to? It's at 0.
Negative 4.
It's going to go down 4 as well. So I did it in the wrong spot. My bad. I did too far.
Oh my gosh. Nice.
Have an issue. Grabbing the wrong stuff. Okay, I want this. There we go. Draw your curve. This is going to, remember, approach that horizontal asymptote. It will never touch it nor cross it. Does it look like our original parent function moved down 4?
Yeah.
Yes.
There you go. Number 2 says 2 to the x minus 4. Is that on the inside or outside?
That's an N.
It's on the inside with the x's, right?
Oh.
So if it's on the inside with the x's, is it going to impact the x's or the y's?
X.
X's. If it's on the inside, it's also a liar. So according to this, it says x minus 4. What am I actually going to do?
Up 4. Or to the right 4.
Am I going to subtract 4 from my x's
Add
or what?
4.
I'm going to add 4 to my x's. So for example, this x right here equals 0. If I add 4 to it, where am I going to move? So not your question.
To the right.
To the right 4.
Units.
So this is right 4. You've got an x value of 0, add 4 to it, it'll take you to right there. In other words, every single point just needs to shift to the right 4. Is the horizontal asymptote going to change? No, I didn't move my graph up and down, did I? So therefore that horizontal asymptote will not change. Does it look like your parent function moved to the right 4?
Yes.
Noah, notes only benefit you if you write them down. Number 3. Are we ready? Are we still drawing? Number 3 says 2 to the x plus 4. Is that plus 4 an insider or outsider? Isn't it inside with the x?
Yes.
Yeah? So since it's on the inside with the x, is it going to impact the x's or the y's?
So what is the inside?
It's going to impact the x's. So once again, we've got a horizontal movement. It says x plus 4, but insiders always lie, so instead it means x minus 4. Take all your x's and move them left 4. So if we were to describe it, we'd say left 4. Here I got an x value of 0. 0 minus 4 would put me at negative 4, and so on. So you can just move all your points 4 to the left. Will the horizontal asymptote change? No. So I can go ahead and draw my curve approaching the exact same asymptote of y equals 0. Does it look like your graph moved 4 to the left? Did we do this before? With different parent functions?
Yes. All of them, right?
Yeah.
What about the other one?
Over and over and over. Yes, we got one more. Looking at this one, we got 2 things going to happen. This 4, is it on the inside or outside? Outside. Is the negative 8 on the inside or outside? So both of these things are on the outside, so if they're both on the outside, are they going to impact the x or the y? The y. We're going to start closest to the x, which is this one. What is this 4 doing? Adding, subtracting, multiplying, dividing. Multiplying, which means I'm going to multiply my y's by 4. And then what's this 8, negative 8 doing? So then I'm going to subtract 8. So let's think about what that's going to do. You have a y value, so I got my curve, and if I multiply those y values by 4, is it going to do this, or is it going to do
It's going
this?
to stretch.
It's going to stretch it. So you've got to stretch by 4. What about the minus 8? After I stretch it, then I got to take the whole graph and do what with it? I got to move it down 8. So let's do this a couple of 1 points at a time.
Aren't you supposed to do the down 8 first and then you
Nope.
switch it
You always got to do the multiplying first.
Yeah, that way you can subtract.
So let's start right here.
Yes.
This y value is 1. Does everybody agree?
Yes.
Okay, so tell me, 1 times 4.
down? It's 4.
So I'm going to go up here to 4. And if that's all I had, I'd put the point there. But now I have to do minus 8. So 4 minus 8?
Down 8. So it's negative 4.
Let's try another point. Y'all ready? What's the y value for this point right here?
2,
Okay, so 2 times 4 is
8.
8. And then I have to go down 8.
That's 0.
It's gonna be
So 0. Another point together?
It's gonna be 8.
This one is 4. 4 times 2 is?
8.
Wait, hold on. 4
No,
times
we
4
did
is, my bad.
16.
4 times 4 is
It's gonna
16.
be
It goes
8.
off, but then I got to do
It's gonna be
16
16.
minus 8. So it'll end up right here. What about this one? A half. A half times 4 is,
1/8.
so I'd be here. And then I got to go down 8. So where?
Negative 6.
Negative 6. We got all the points that are going to fit on our grid. That last one will go way off the grid. So now let's talk about the horizontal asymptote. Is it going to move? It is. Where's it going to move to?
4 times minus 8.
What's the- What's that k? What's the k value?
Negative
What's the
8.
k?
So then that's negative 8.
So it's negative 8, right? Notice, negative 8, so it's just going to move down to negative 8. You need this line to be able to draw your curve. That's the one that's going to tell you where to draw this left side, because I got to come down here and approach this curve, don't I? That's what that line's for. Yes, ma'am.
How did you get the K value?
The k value's right here. It's going to be that plus or minus that's on the outside. The one that shifts that whole graph up and down. Okay, so are we okay with that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Let's see if we can do this with a table then.
Oh, God.
This is the exact same table we just made, correct?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so number 1, we went down 4. If I go down 4, isn't that y minus 4?
Yes.
Do you agree? So are my x's going to change then? So I'm just going to write all my x's. My y values are actually a thing that changed in this graph, right? We didn't move that graph left to right, so my x's didn't change at all. Take all my y values and I subtract 4. 1/2 minus 4 is negative 3.5. 1 minus 4, negative 3. 2 minus 4, negative 2. 4 minus 4,
Wait, is that 1 and negative 4th power?
y minus 4.
Oh.
Right? Isn't that what we did? Look, isn't it y minus 4, down 4? And then I got 8 minus 4 is 4. So do you see how I made my table work out the same thing? Even when I did it here, I could just count down 1, and then I did what? 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the same thing, subtracting 4 from all my y values. Number 2, we said it went right 4. Is that changing the x's or the y's? X's, so it would be what?
X plus 4.
X plus 4. So now my y's are not going to change, so I can write them. So now let's talk about the x's. Negative 1 would become,
3,
good. 0 would become,
4,
yep. 1 would become, 2,
6,
and 3.
7.
The third one we went left for. Huh?
Is that 4.5?
Yes. Yeah, the y's didn't change. Number 3, we went left for. Once again, this is impacting your x values. It says x plus 4. Instead, we would do x minus 4
Yeah.
because insiders lie. So once again, my y values aren't changing, so I can just write them all down. What about my x values? Negative 1 would become,
-5.
0 would become,
-4.
1 would become,
3.
negative, or 2 would become,
-2.
and 3 would become. Last scenario, this is exactly what we did. We multiplied our y's by 4 and subtracted 8. So we did 4y minus 8. Did my x values change?
No.
So we could write all those down. So our first one we have y equals 1/2. 4 times 1/2 is 2 minus 8. Then we got 1. 1 times 4 is 4 minus 8. 2. 2 times 4 is 8 minus 8. 4. 4 times 4 is 16 minus 8. And then we got 8. 8 times 4 is 32 minus 8. 24. And that's the one that was off the crib that we couldn't do. Okay? So you have a piece of paper right now that has practice on. First one we're going to raise to the negative 3. So I got 1/2 to the negative 3. What's that?
3? Negative 7. What is
It's going to be 2. Right? No.
1.5.
Oh, wait.
8.
8.
Oh.
Very good.
8.
Right? The negative will flip it over, and then 2 to the third is 8. Okay, so then we'll go with negative 2. So 1/2 to the negative 2. 4. 1/2 to the negative 1.
2. Sorry, my brain's not working.
Good. 1/2 to the 0.
1.
1. 1/2 to the 1.
1. 2. 4.
7.
1/2 to the 1.
Isn't that 1/2?
Yeah, there you go. Do these numbers look familiar to you?
They're reversed.
They are. It's like if you take that other parent function, you flip it over.
Well, definitely.
They're already up and walking.
Ah, who was it?
Somebody tripped over there.
So, negative 3, 8.
Like, hey, what happened?
Negative 2,
Come
4.
Come back, tell us.
Negative 1, 2. 0, 1. Notice how that 0, 1 stays right there, doesn't it?
He's just like,
It's okay. I don't know what you're doing.
that sounded like.
This is going to have that same horizontal asymptote. It has not moved.
Ah.
Make sure you draw those dashed because they're not part of your graph.
So it's just the same thing the other way.
It is the same thing. The asymptote is going to shift vertically with your k value. Your k value is going to be that number on the outside that's adding or subtracting. So then I can draw what's happening to these y values as I go to infinity. As x goes to infinity, what's happening to my y values? They're approaching
0.
0, right?
0. I'm
The
sorry.
further to infinity, the closer they get to 0, but they'll never touch 0. They'll certainly never become negative.
Oh, what's the word sound on?
What is asymptote shifts blank?
Vertical
Vertical.
with the k value. The exact same from the last one. So I want to go over to my other page, and I'm going to go ahead and draw my parent so that I can use it to move around. Yes. Yep.
Finished.
I'm doing notes, so you're not finished.
Please.
My shifts are going to be pretty much the same. I got 1/2 to the x minus 4. What's this going to do to my graph?
It's gonna cut in half.
half to the right 4?
It's gonna what?
I don't
Like
know.
cut in half.
Is this -4 on the inside or
Sounds
outside?
smart. It's on the outside.
Subtract
If it's
the
on
y
the
by
outside, is it going to impact the x's or the y's?
Why?
The y's, and so it's going to
Down
do y minus 4, which means yes, it's going to go down 4. Thank you, Kyle.
You're aware.
So each point, all I got to do is count down 4.
Right.
Oh, shit. Oh.
What's going to happen to my asymptote? Because I can't draw it since it's definitely changed, right? Where's my asymptote go on this one?
Down 4?
It goes down 4 as well. Number 2. 1/2 x to the minus 4. What's that going to do? Hello? 1/2. Huh?
Oh, it's gonna go.
It's going to go right 4.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
It's an insider, so insiders lie, so it looks like it says x minus 4. Well, it does. Insiders lie, so it's going to go right 4. So I go to each point and I just count to the right 4. Does my horizontal asymptote change on this one?
No.
No, it doesn't. Since it moves left and right, the horizontal asymptote will not change. What about the third one? 1/2 to the x plus 4. Inside or outside?
I'm a blank.
Number 3. Inside or outside?
That's gonna go
And
right.
what?
It's going to go left 4. It's on the inside.
Two.
So go back to your parents and go left 4. Will my horizontal asymptote change?
No.
So I can draw based upon the one that's already there? The last scenario, you have 2 things happen. You got a 4 on the outside, you got a -8 on the outside, which means both of them are going to impact what? The x or y's?
Why?
Y. The 4 is going to multiply the y's first, and then we're going to subtract 8 from that value. Just like a while ago. So starting at that same point 1, if I multiply that by 4, I get 4, and then I subtract 8. Then we have 1/2 multiplied by 4,
2.
subtract 8, -6.
Negatives.
2 multiplied by 4, 8, subtract 8.
0.
4 multiplied by 4,
16.
16 minus 8.
8.
And then of course the other point's going to go off our chart. Before I can draw this graph, I need my new asymptote. Anybody have any ideas where the new horizontal asymptote goes?
Negative 8?
Negative 8.
Very good. How did you get that answer?
Because this was minus 8.
They're right there. Nice. I need this so that I know how to draw this right half, because it's going to approach that. Questions, problems with that? Tables? We want to do the tables? Or are you ready to go to your graphing?
Yeah.
We're ready to go to the graph.
Graphing.
Go to your graphing.
Can I use the restroom?